World of One Punch Chapter 4. It's not the first time I've done this. Koji had jealousy in his eyes, and his voice was a little quieter, but he said unconvinced. I don't care what you were before, now you are cooperating with my sweetheart masquerade, and I don't allow you to fool the past casually. I gave you more than a dozen opportunities, you didn't grow at all. If you can't do it well, you can only change the script, find someone to replace you. And the cooperation ends here. Sweetheart masquerade is angry and angry, not angry with an ordinary person, but a little louder. You are going too far. However, in Koji's eyes, he felt that his personality had been insulted. It doesn't really matter if he doesn't cooperate with Sweetheart Masquerade, but he can't tolerate being swept away by the other party. This thing spreads. He is like a dog who lost his family. He has to bear all kinds of gossip. How can that happen? Well, if you don't cooperate, you won't cooperate. The more Koji thought about it, the more angry he became, took off his shooting suit, snapped, and threw it on the ground angrily. Remember the Sweetheart mask, this is my initiative to terminate the partnership, not requested by you. Finally, he threw out the door and strode away under the gaze of many messy staff. Really, does this kind of mind still want to surpass me? Looking at his back, Sweetheart Carmen sat on the sofa next to him and muttered to himself. Whether it is a hero or an idol, there are many people who want to surpass him, and because of this, his requirements are particularly high. It's not that he is worried about his status, but he hates that iron is not steel. He wishes that powerful characters appear, the best heart, strength are impeccable. The world needs such people too much. Just thinking about it, there was a vibration in the chest pocket, and when I took it out, it was from the agent and put it to my ear to answer. Sweetheart Carmen Lord, we're already downstairs. A familiar voice came from the phone. Oh, let him come up and go to the reception room. Sweetheart's tense expression softened and said simply, yes. After hanging up the phone, Sweetheart Carmen took off her shooting suit, went to the changing room to change her clothes, and sat alone in the reception room and waited. Downstairs. Wuxiao stepped out of the car door and looked up. It can only be said that it is worthy of the company of Sweetheart Masquerade, gorgeous and spectacular. Please, Your Excellency, the kitchen knife slashes. The broker walks ahead to open the way and reaches out politely. The author has something to say. Find a good website, all serialized here. Ace Novel Network, AISISHUS.com. Wuxiao nodded lightly and followed. When entering the gate, a handsome young man with an ugly face walked from the elevator entrance. His steps were very fast, and he didn't seem to want to stay here at all. Isn't this Mr. Koji? The agent recognized the identity of the other party at a glance and subconsciously spoke. HMPH. Koji ignored it, snorted coldly and left. The agent didn't know what was going on and looked dazed, but the most important thing now was to take the kitchen knife and hack the man to meet the Sweetheart Carmen-sama. Wuxiao turned his head and glanced at the young man's back, didn't think too much, and followed the agent to take the elevator upstairs. Knock knock. The agent led Wuxiao, under the curious eyes of many staff, came to the closed reception room door, reached out and knocked lightly twice. Everyone thought to themselves, Sweetheart Carmen rarely invites others to be guests so formally. Who is this teenager? It looks quite strange. Please come in. Elegant voices came from inside the door. Faux pas. The agent grabbed the doorknob, opened the door, took 2 steps back and saluted like a gentleman, inviting Wuxiao to enter. Wuxiao strolled in. The scene was extremely luxurious. In the middle of the reception room, there was a precious black wood square table, 2 single sofas on the left and right sides. Sweetheart Carmen was sitting on the side with his back against the window, dressed in refreshing casual clothes, smiling over. Hello, kitchen knife slashing man, will my invitation be too hasty? Sweetheart Masquerade said politely, clasping her fingers together and placing her elbows on the table. Without waiting for Wuxiao to speak, he added, sit down first. Wuxiao was not in a hurry, went straight to the side of the sofa, and sat down. Straight to the point, I heard that you refused to be promoted to an S-class hero, I want to hear the reason. Chapter 6, Freaky Cells. Sure enough, Wuxiao guessed that he would ask this, and on the way here, he had already brewed his own words. I'm not strong enough yet, Wuxiao said without thinking, almost without pause. Oh, but I heard that you defeated a powerful weirdo who is not even an opponent of an S-class hero, the Deep Sea King. And it was when the other side was barely injured. Sweetheart Carmen leaned back slightly, leaned back on the sofa, and looked at Wuxiao carefully. There is nothing special about it, but people must not look good. What I have to say is a matter of phase. Different heroes and different weirdos fight. There is often a big and small difference in the certainty of winning. I just got lucky enough to beat it. Wuxiao's clever explanation is easy to understand without revealing his own information too much. So it is, Sweetheart said with a clear expression. He admired the kitchen knife and chopping man, not that the other party could defeat the Deep Sea King, but the rare quality that was willing to refuse a high position. And now that he knew the reason, he appreciated it even more. Having a clear sense of self is really rare. I used to be just a small C-class hero, and through my own efforts, I climbed to the first position of this class today. Although your style is easy to misunderstand, I believe that there must be your reasons. From the result, I can feel that you have been getting stronger, and I hope that you can get stronger and stronger. Sweetheart Masquerade said solemnly, full of anticipation. Why did you go out of your way to tell me this? Wuxiao asked doubtfully, wouldn't it be because of his refusal to be promoted, and he was regarded as some noble hero by the Sweetheart Mask? To be honest, he's not that yet. Don't care, you just do your best. Speaking of which, there is something temporarily now, can I ask you? Sweetheart Masquerade braced her body and suddenly changed the subject. What? Wuxiao blinked, feeling more and more strange. Please help me shoot a commercial with me. Huh, underground garage. Damn, that bastard, so self-righteous, one day I'm going to trample him underfoot. Koji came to his black luxury car angrily, ready to open the door. No way, you can't do it. Somewhere, there was a sound that echoed around, and Koji was distraught to hear it. Who? Get out of here for me. Koji, who was angry, suddenly cursed and roared unpleasantly. Sweetheart Masquerade looks down on him, even if any cat or dog dares to say such things in his ear. With the sound of leather shoes landing on the ground, from behind the load-bearing column next to him, a handsome young man who looked a little older than him, with long hair that passed his shoulders. You are? Koji turned around, feeling that this person was very familiar, and his anger couldn't help but fall. A passing idol. The long-haired young man spread his hands and said indifferently. I remember, you seem to have worked with Sweetheart Carmen on a few movies, the name is. Something flashed through Koji's mind, but he couldn't remember it for a while. It doesn't matter if you don't know, it's barely your senior. The long-haired young man put his hand down and said lazily. So, what's the matter with me? You're just a loser. Koji said mercilessly, after all, the other party taunted him first. Yes, that's right, I'm just a loser, lost at the hands of Sweetheart Carmen. What about you? You're not far from failure. The long-haired youth was not angry, and you came and went to ridicule each other. You're here to tell me this? I'm different from you, and one day, the Sweetheart mask will lose at my hands. Koji clenched his fists and said quite confidently. Didn't you just say that you can't do it? The long-haired youth shook his head. What the hell do you mean? Koji's eyes froze, very dissatisfied with what the other party said. Author. For more comics, I thought I was traveling through the world of One Punch related novels. Please visit AISISHUS.com. Don't you understand? To deal with people like Sweetheart Carmen, it is not enough to rely on acting skills and appearance alone. In addition to being an idol, he is also the #1 hero in the A level of the Hero Association, and with such an aura blessing. He has been far ahead of us from the beginning of his debut. The long-haired young man said slowly, with a haze hidden in his eyes. Koji's expression was stunned. This was true. It was because of this that he was determined to surpass the cancer of this industry. But I don't rely on my appearance and acting skills, what else can I rely on? Koji gradually calmed down, and his tone was much gentler. Instead of obsessing over him with soft means, we can use tougher and more direct methods. Power, great power. If you punch the Sweetheart mask on the ground and kneel and beg for mercy, everything is subject to your arrangement. Don't you want to see that kind of scene? The corner of the long-haired young man's mouth hooked a mysterious smile. The words fell, and Koji's mind made up the picture, and he immediately felt happy. Of course I want to, I think too much. It's simple to say, how can I get that kind of power? That guy is a hero who is only one step away from the S-class. Although I live in a greenhouse and have never seen weirdos, in news reports. Koji has seen many scenes of being destroyed by weirdos, and he can feel the oppression across the screen. And heroes, that is, the profession of fighting such terrible weirdos, are not comparable to ordinary people. Huh. The long-haired young man replied without hurry, feeling out a wriggling mass of strange meat from his pocket and spreading it in the palm of his hand. What is this thing? It's disgusting. Koji took 2 steps back, covering his mouth, feeling physically unwell. Freak cells, it gives you unparalleled power. The corners of the long-haired young man's mouth turned up and stood in place. Strange. Freak cells, how can you have such a thing? The word was unfamiliar to Koji, but he could tell that it wasn't a good thing. Because I've been reborn, don't you wonder why I just happened to wait for you at this point in time? The long-haired youth changed the subject. Koji was reminded by him and immediately reacted. It was really not right. He suddenly fell out with Sweetheart Masquerade. Others should not know. If you have something to say it quickly. Koji said suspiciously. The long-haired young man withdrew his hand, sorted out his thoughts, and then spoke. As a former idol, I have a talent that many people do not have, absolute sense of sound. And can accurately identify the pitch and orientation of the voice. And now, this talent has evolved. Even if it is a dozen stories apart, I can clearly hear the conversation of the people above. Can you understand that this feeling of being like a god, listening to small human beings have all kinds of conversations, I feel that I can do anything. Just because, I ate a piece of weirdo cell. First chapter previous chapter 493 next chapter epilogue table of contents. Previous, Siheyuan, cut off Hu Chin Wairu, life is boundless.